I wasn't snooping. Let's get that clear. It was a stupid accident, one of those twisted cosmic jokes life loves to throw at you when you least expect it. Her laptop was open on the kitchen counter. I thought it was mine. Same model. Same sticker on the lid. I only wanted to check the tracking for the shipment of some new components I'd ordered for the firm. And then I saw it. Her inbox. Subject line, divorce strategy, urgent. Sender, Miller and Denton Law. I hovered for maybe 3 seconds. My hand trembled, not because I thought something was wrong. Not yet. I clicked. And then my whole world caught fire. I want to take his business, house, and retirement before he discovers the affairs. Affairs. Plural. He's so busy with work he won't see it coming. I've been building the narrative. Manipulating the finances. I want to make sure he's left with nothing. Signed off with. Thanks again, Madison. Yeah, Madison. My wife. The woman I gave 11 years of my life to. The woman I built a damn empire for, with the intention of leaving it to her if anything ever happened to me. And now she wanted to gut me like a deer in the woods. The room went silent. Not quiet silent. The kind of silence where even your heartbeat doesn't want to be heard. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. But I read more. There were 19 emails. Conversations dating back 3 months. Details. Strategy. What to say to a judge. How to document emotional distance. How to manipulate therapy sessions to build a case. And then the part that made me sick. Literally sick. I ran to the sink and threw up. Met Kyle again today. Same hotel. Same suite. He makes me feel alive. Not like Evan. Evan's just a paycheck. Kyle. I knew a Kyle. My old college buddy. The one who just happened to move to town 3 months ago. The one who started showing up at barbecues, whose wife left him, and who Madison always insisted I had to be nicer to because he's lonely. Oh, I was about to show Kyle the meaning of lonely. But I didn't go nuclear yet. No, not immediately. I'm not the type to scream and break things. I'm the type to plan, to wait, to gather my arsenal before I strike. So I did the only thing I could. I forwarded every single message, all of them, to my attorney. That man is a shark in human skin. Cold eyes. No emotion. Just results. I called him and said 2 words. It's war. Within 24 hours, every asset I owned was locked under a trust. My company shares frozen from transfer. The house protected. The retirement account pulled into a separate secured holding with documentation that made it legally untouchable without mutual consent. She had no idea. I left town. Took a private trip to a cabin I owned in Vermont. I needed distance. Space. I needed to breathe without tasting the lies in the air. She called the next day. 10 times. Texted 50. Where are you? Are you okay? I'm worried. Worried. The same woman who, 3 days ago, wrote, once the narrative is strong enough, I'll make him look unstable. Easy win. My fingers itched to respond. But I didn't. Not yet. I waited. Because when she finally filed the paperwork, tried to beat me to court and take me for everything, her lawyer called mine and asked for a meeting. Apparently, Madison hadn't shared everything with him. When my lawyer dropped the file on the desk, 38 printed pages of her emails, plus a breakdown of my asset protection moves, her attorney reportedly turned pale. Like corpse-level pale. And now? Now I'm sitting in this cabin, looking out over a frozen lake, waiting for Madison's next move. She doesn't know I'm back yet. She thinks she still has the upper hand. But the real show hasn't even started. Because if she wants war, she's about to get nuclear. And trust me, I've got the launch codes. I came back to town under the radar. No announcements, no updates. Madison still thought I was gone for business. That gave me the edge I needed. The day I saw Kyle again was almost cinematic, except instead of a movie, it felt like a bad dream with the volume cranked up. I walked into one of our favorite cafes, the kind Madison used to beg me to take her to every Sunday morning. Said it felt like Europe. Funny how it was now the place I'd catch her like collapsing in real time. I wasn't there for coffee. I was there because I had eyes in the city now, people who owed me favors. People who knew how to quietly track without raising suspicion. And they told me Madison had a routine. Gym. Cafe. Meetings. I knew what that last one meant. So I sat by the window. Hoodie up. Head down. Pretending to read the paper like some washed-up detective from an old noir film. Then they walked in. Madison, in her oversized beige coat and tight jeans, the kind she always said were just for errands. Kyle, wearing a smug grin and acting like the whole world belonged to him. They didn't see me. They were holding hands. She kissed him on the cheek. He grabbed her waist like he owned it. I clenched my jaw so hard it cracked. But I didn't move. Not yet. They sat at a table 3 feet from mine, oblivious. Madison took out her phone. Started scrolling. Kyle leaned in. "So, what's the update with Evan?" "Still clueless." She laughed. "He left town again. Probably off saving the world like usual. He wouldn't notice if I emptied the safe and burned the house down." My hands curled into fists in my coat pockets. I could feel my nails digging into my palms. Kyle asked, "You still think we can pull this off? Take everything before he catches on?" She nodded, her voice low. "His lawyer's nothing. Just a name on paper. I've got everything mapped out. He won't see it coming until it's too late." "Oh, sweetheart. If only you knew." Kyle leaned in again, whispering something that made her giggle. Then, right there in that cafe, her hand slipped under the table toward his lap. I didn't need to see where it landed. His smirk said enough. That was it. I stood up. Quietly. Calmly. Walked over and stopped right at their table. Madison looked up and froze. "Evan," she said, like she'd seen a ghost. I smiled. "Kyle," I said, nodding at him. "How's your wife doing these days?" "Oh, that's right. She left you, didn't she?" Kyle squirmed. Madison's face went white, then red, then blank. I leaned in, real close. "Hope the omelet was worth it. Because the next meal you'll be eating might be crow." Then I walked out. No yelling. No drama. Just the quiet burn of a man who already won and didn't need to show off the scoreboard. I got into my car, parked just around the corner, and called my lawyer. "Time for the next phase," I said. He didn't ask what I meant. He just said, "On it." That night, Madison blew up my phone. Texts, voicemails, even emails. I can explain. It's not what it looks like. "You're overreacting." "Overreacting? You told a man in public I wouldn't notice if you burned our house down, and you think I'm overreacting?" But I stayed quiet. Because silence, sometimes, screams louder than any words. And her panic was just beginning. Madison had always been the queen of cool. Smooth lies, sharp smile, always 10 steps ahead, or so she thought. But the moment she saw me standing over that table with Kyle, the mask cracked. And now it was shattering. By the time I pulled into our driveway that night, my phone had 27 missed calls from her. 2 voicemails. 3 emails. She never used to call me this much, even when her mother was hospitalized. I didn't reply. Not yet. I needed her squirming. I needed her second-guessing herself. I walked through the front door like I hadn't just burned the foundations of her little fantasy to ash. The house was spotless, like she'd suddenly remembered she was married to someone who noticed details. The scent of expensive candles hung in the air. Probably tried to mask the guilt with lavender and white tea. She appeared at the top of the stairs in leggings and a sweater 2 sizes too big, the one she wore when she wanted to look innocent and fragile. "Evan." Her voice was soft, shaky, theatrical. I looked up at her and dropped my keys in the bowl by the door. "You want talk here? Or should I book a table at the same cafe where you plan life with your boyfriend?" Her jaw twitched. "It's not like that. Spare me." I walked past her and headed for the study. She followed close behind, tripping over her own words. "I made a mistake." "No." I turned to face her. "You made a plan." Her mouth opened, then closed. I watched her eyes search for a lie that could stick, but she was running out of glue. "You read my emails," she finally said, voice rising just a little. "That's a violation." I laughed. Actually laughed. "You were planning to rob me blind and sell off the pieces of my life like a garage sale. You think this is about privacy?" I was angry. She snapped. "You're never home. You're always at the office, always with that damn company, and I found comfort in another man's lap. And then another. And then started working with a lawyer to destroy me financially." I folded my arms. "Got it. Totally understandable." She broke then. The tears started. But they weren't the kind that come from guilt. They were survival tears. The kind liars cry when they realize the con isn't working anymore. "I was scared," she whispered. "You were slipping away. I didn't know how to reach you." I stepped closer. "So you reached for Kyle?" Silence. "I gave you everything, Madison," I said quietly. "Everything. I built a life so big it had room for your dreams and mine. And you tried to take it all like I was just some stepping stone to your next adventure." She didn't deny it. She didn't apologize. She just stared at me with wide, watery eyes like a child caught red-handed. I leaned in, looked her dead in the eyes. "You wanted war. I gave you a head start. Let's see how far you get now." I left her standing there and went to the guest room. Locked the door. I didn't trust myself to sleep beside her. That night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, heart pounding, 1,000 thoughts crashing into each other. The woman I loved wasn't real. She was an illusion I helped paint. And the betrayal wasn't just the affair. It was everything. The manipulation. The lies. The way she looked at me like I was some obstacle to her happiness. She thought she broke me. But what she didn't know is that I break quietly. And when I put myself back together, I don't leave space for the ones who tore me apart. The next morning, Madison acted like nothing happened. She was in the kitchen making pancakes, my favorite, the ones with blueberries and that cinnamon she only used on holidays. She even wore the apron I got her from Paris, the one she never touched after our honeymoon. It was all a performance, and I knew it. "Morning, babe," she said, as if her emails weren't now sitting in a legal folder labeled marital betrayal and strategic theft. I stared at her, silent, wondering if she actually thought this charade would work. "You hungry?" she asked, flipping a pancake like she was June Cleaver. I pulled out a chair and Saturday. "What's Kyle having for breakfast?" The spatula clattered against the pan. She didn't turn around. "We should talk," she finally muttered. "Oh, now we talk?" I tilted my head. After the lawyer. After the hotel rooms. After plotting to strip me down like a junkyard car. "I already told you." I was angry. Hurt. She turned, crossing her arms. "You shut me out. So you opened your legs for Kyle." "Got it. Don't say it like that." Her voice cracked. "I'll say it however I want, Madison. You earned it." She stepped closer, softening her voice. "I miss us. I miss what we used to be. Maybe this can still be salvaged." I laughed, bitter and sharp. "Is that before or after you take the business, the house, and my retirement account? You forgot to mention salvage in your emails." "I never filed," she shouted suddenly, dropping the mask for a second. "I thought about it. I drafted things, but I didn't go through with it. Because I beat you to it," I snapped. "Because your lawyer choked the second mine handed him the receipts. Don't act like you pulled back out of love. You didn't have the damn time." She stepped back, eyes narrowing. "You're really going to throw all of this away? All of this?" I gestured to the room. "Madison, you threw it away. The second you made me the villain in a story where I was the only one fighting for us." She didn't cry this time. She didn't beg. No, she got cold. "You think you'll win," she said flatly. "You think just because you found those emails, you'll come out of this clean? You have no idea how courts work. I can still spin this. I can still make you look like the absent, aggressive husband. You think they care about some private messages?" I stood up slowly, eyes locked on hers. "Try it. Please. Let's go to war. But understand this. I already secured everything. You'll be left fighting for scraps. And the moment you drag me through the mud, I'll start releasing things. Screenshots. Security cam footage. Messages you forgot to delete. You want scorched earth? I'll hand you the matches." We stared at each other like two wolves ready to rip out throats. And then she did what she always did when backed into a corner. She played the victim. "I was lonely, Evan," she whispered. "Do you know what that feels like? Being invisible in your own marriage? Watching the man you love disappear into work and leave you with nothing." That hit harder than I expected. Because part of me, the naive, hopeful part that still remembered our first kiss, our wedding day, the night we danced in the rain, wanted to believe she felt something. But I wasn't that man anymore. "Being invisible doesn't give you the right to become a monster," I said quietly. "And I gave you everything. If that wasn't enough, then I never stood a chance." I walked out. This time, she didn't follow. Because deep down, we both knew the game had changed. She wasn't trying to save us anymore. She was trying to survive the fallout. I wish I could say that was the last time Madison tried to manipulate me, but with women like her, it's never over until they bleed out every last drop of control. And she was nowhere near done. 2 days after our kitchen standoff, I started sleeping in the guest room full-time. I changed the lock on my office door, moved my essential documents to a safety deposit box, started handling my business affairs through proxies. Quiet moves. Smart moves. Moves she wouldn't see coming. And still, she acted like everything was fine. She cooked dinner every night. She wore perfume. She smiled like she wasn't counting the days until she could grab what was left of my life and vanish. But I saw her eyes, cold, calculating, scanning for weaknesses. That smile? Just a poker face. It was Thursday when I found it. She'd left her purse on the couch while she took a long bubble bath. I wasn't looking for anything, truly. But when it slid open and spilled across the cushions, something caught my eye, a tiny silver key in a red envelope. Hotel brand etched on the top. Room 221. That number rang like a gunshot in my head. Room 221 was the suite she and I used to rent for weekend getaways back when we still loved each other. The irony nearly made me choke. I grabbed the key, slipped it in my pocket, and calmly zipped her purse shut again. By the time she stepped out of the bathroom in a towel and that fake, innocent smile, I had already booked a suite of my own in the same hotel. I didn't sleep that night. I laid there in the guest bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every second of our years together. The vacations. The stupid inside jokes. The time I carried her through the door when her heel broke in the rain. All of it. Rewritten. Poisoned. Useless. By Friday evening, I drove to the hotel, parked 2 blocks away, and walked in through the side entrance. Baseball cap low. Hoodie zipped. Room key ready. Room 221 was quiet. I waited. I wasn't even sure what I was doing anymore. Part of me hoped it was nothing. That maybe she booked it for herself. A lie she hadn't told yet. Maybe redemption wasn't dead. But deep down, I knew what I was going to see. The door clicked open at 7:46 p.m. Kyle walked in first. Same smug walk. Same leather jacket. Same I stole your wife swagger that made me want to crack his teeth on the marble floor. Then came Madison, dressed like she wasn't married, laughing like she'd never been caught, holding his hand like a damn teenager sneaking off after prom. They kissed before the door even closed. It wasn't a kiss of guilt. It was greed. Hunger. She kissed him like she used to kiss me. And something inside me snapped. I didn't barge in. No. I pulled out my phone. Snapped 2 perfect, clean photos. No blur. No doubt. Just pure, undeniable betrayal in 4K clarity. Then I walked back to my car in silence. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat behind the wheel, staring at the pictures. One of her leaning into him, eyes closed, hand on his chest. The other of him grabbing her hips, pressing her against the wall like they had the whole world to themselves. She hadn't just betrayed me. She'd replaced me. And now? Now I had proof. This wasn't just about divorce anymore. This was about making sure she never got to wear that smug little grin again. Because war was no longer coming. It had already started. Madison always thought she was the smartest person in the room. That smug confidence was part of her charm once, back when I thought she was using it to lift us both. I didn't realize she was sharpening it into a weapon for the day she'd turn on me. But on Monday morning, when the courier rang the doorbell at 9 a.m. sharp, she finally looked like she didn't have a damn clue what was happening. I stood in the hallway, leaning against the wall, watching from a distance as she opened the door in her satin robe and saw the man in the black suit holding a brown envelope with her name on it. "Mrs. Madison Taylor?" he asked, polite but firm. Yes. Her voice had that light tremble. She was used to control. This was off script. "You've been served." He handed her the envelope and turned without another word. She stood there, frozen, staring down at the thick packet of documents. Divorce papers. Lawsuit included. Evidence attached. She turned to me, still in the doorway. "You're divorcing me?" I nodded. Effective immediately. Her hand tightened on the envelope. "You blindsided me." I laughed. "No. You tried to blindside me. I just got to the finish line first." She started walking toward me, voice rising. "You're not even going to talk to me about this? Just end it. What part would you like to talk about?" I said, pushing off the wall. "The lies? The hotel? The emails to your lawyer? Or maybe the way you called me a paycheck while making out with Kyle in the same room where we celebrated our 5th anniversary?" Her jaw clenched. "You were spying on me," she snapped. "No, Madison. I was verifying." I stepped closer. "Because I stopped trusting you the second I realized your therapy sessions were just smoke and mirrors while you plotted to gut me like some Wall Street mark. You don't understand it." "No, you don't understand." I pointed at the envelope. "I've already locked everything down. You get nothing you tried to steal. No house. No company shares. No stake in the retirement fund you were planning to leech off. You get exactly what the prenup says, which you forgot existed, by the way." Her face went pale. "You're bluffing." I pulled my phone from my pocket, opened the email from my lawyer, and flipped it toward her. Screenshots. Contracts. Timestamped messages. Photos. She staggered back 2 steps like I'd physically shoved her. You can't do this." "I just did." She dropped onto the couch, the papers in her lap, eyes scanning like she might find an escape hatch written between the lines. But there wasn't one. "Do you love him?" I asked, my voice cold. "Kyle." She didn't answer. I didn't need her to. "I hope he's worth it," I muttered. "Because you burned down everything for him. You weren't here, Evan. You disappeared on me. No, Madison. I built a life for you. I gave you every minute I had left after fighting tooth and nail to give us security. But you didn't want a husband. You wanted a sponsor. I shook my head. And now you don't get either. She stood up, fury in her eyes. You'll regret this. I smiled, calm and sharp. I already regret you. Then I walked upstairs, grabbed my suitcase, and left. No theatrics. No final scream. Just a clean exit. And as the door shut behind me, I knew that was the last time I'd ever let her take anything from me, not my money, not my peace, not my soul. Because this wasn't heartbreak. It was liberation. 2 days after I served Madison the papers, the silence in the house I used to call home felt almost sacred. I wasn't staying there anymore. I'd moved into a rental loft downtown, nothing fancy, just 4 clean walls, my leather chair, and a bed I could actually sleep in without hearing the ghost of her lies echoing through the sheets. But I came back that morning, just once more, to retrieve the last of my personal items. A watch my father gave me. A safe full of business records. My sense of closure. The door was unlocked. I walked in and found her sitting on the floor of our bedroom, my bedroom now, surrounded by crumpled tissues, a half-empty wine bottle, and papers scattered everywhere. She looked up at me like I was the one who owed her an apology. You really left, she muttered. No, Madison, I said quietly. You did. Her mascara was smeared, robe loose, hair a mess, but not in the cute, rom-com kind of way. She looked like the truth had finally caught up to her. Raw. Exposed. Cornered. She started, then stopped. I didn't think you'd actually go through with it. I thought you still loved me. I didn't respond right away. Because love isn't something that just dies. It bleeds out slowly, painfully, gasping for air until there's nothing left but resentment and numb silence. I did love you, I finally said. Harder than anyone ever should have. That's the problem. You saw my love as a weakness. She looked away. I kneeled near my nightstand, opened the bottom drawer, and grabbed the safe. She didn't say a word. Just watched me like I was some stranger breaking into her memories. Then she asked the question I'd been waiting for. Was any of it real? I paused. Not because I didn't know the answer, but because I wanted her to feel it. Everything I gave you is real, I said, standing. The question is, was anything you gave me? Her eyes filled with tears again, but I didn't feel pity anymore. Only clarity. She stood up, stepped toward me like she might try one last trick. One final plea. What do I do now? I tilted my head. Start over. Like I'm doing. Just without the stolen life you were planning to walk away with. And then, because I still had one last card to play, I turned at the door and said, Oh, and Kyle? He's been served too. Her head jerked up. What? Adultery clause in the prenup. His name's on the receipts. He'll be dragged into court as a witness. And if he thinks you're moving in with him, well, good luck. I smiled. Pretty sure his lease doesn't include room for a lawsuit. The silence that followed was delicious. I walked out and left her standing there, holding a bottle in one hand and nothing in the other. Back at my new place, I sat on the balcony, coffee in hand, watching the city breathe. I'd lost a marriage, but I'd reclaimed something far more valuable. Myself. No more lies. No more walking on emotional glass shards. No more pretending I was happy while she rehearsed her betrayal behind my back. Just me. Unbroken. Rebuilt. And ready for whatever came next. You don't wake up one day and just stop loving someone. That's the lie they feed you in movies. In real life, it's a slow death. A bleed out. 1,000 tiny betrayals before the big one cracks you open. But once it does, there's no going back. It's been 3 weeks since the papers were served. The firestorm came and went, lawyers, meetings, pressuring calls from her friends, even a couple fake coincidence run-ins at places she never used to go alone. She tried everything short of crawling, and I knew she would. But I didn't break. I didn't even flinch. Madison underestimated the one thing she couldn't manipulate: clarity. Once I saw her for who she really was, it was like a veil had been torn down. Every smile I once thought was love, every fake tear, every time she told me she had my back, all of it turned to ash the second I opened that email. The betrayal wasn't just the affairs. It was how surgical it all was. The way she crafted her exit like a business strategy. Cold. Calculated. Efficient. She didn't just cheat on me. She studied me, learned my blind spots, then stabbed me right through them. And for what? A man with a rented BMW and enough ego to fill a stadium? A few months of excitement and secrecy, just to end up in a courtroom choking on her own lies? But here's the part one didn't expect. I'm not angry anymore. Not really. Anger takes energy, and she's not worth a drop more of mine. What I feel now is something cleaner, sharper. Freedom. I've started running again, cooking for one, sleeping better. I signed a deal last week that'll triple the value of my company in the next year, and I didn't think about her once while signing it. Not even when I passed by the sushi place we used to love on the way home. Because the truth is, she didn't just betray me. She freed me. Freed me from a woman who never saw my worth. Freed me from a future I would have wasted protecting someone who was already halfway out the door with a bag full of stolen dreams. Freed me from the illusion that love means tolerating disrespect. There's a power in letting go, in walking away not because you're broken, but because you finally see. I've learned a few things standing in the wreckage. Pay attention to what people do when they think you're not watching. That's where the truth lives. If someone tries to make you feel crazy for noticing the distance, the silence, the changed patterns, trust your gut. It's not paranoia. It's your soul screaming the truth. And lastly, if someone's love comes with conditions, contracts, or manipulation, it's not love. It's control wrapped in charm. So, if you're reading this and you're sitting in your own kind of storm, unsure whether to stay or leave, hear it from someone who's been through hell and came back colder but clearer. You're not weak for loving them, but you'll be stronger for letting them go. And as for Madison, I don't hate her, but I don't miss her either. And that's how I know I finally won.